Welcome back to the Sky and the Shy podcast. This is episode 22, and today I'm talking about what the Chicago Sky roster looks like now that we've finished a lot of the moves, what's left that's still undecided, and talk about the path to getting back to watching WNBA basketball. Let's get into it. And before we start, I want to mention, yes, I'm wearing a bunch of Laker gear. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm not only a fan of the Lakers, I do a lot of coverage for the team, and they're smack dab in the middle of a brutal season. So I just didn't really feel like changing all my gear. I've talked about my Chicago LA connection. Started off, covering the W in my local region, which at the time was Chicago, and kind of grew up to, love the team, of course. And now that I've moved to Los Angeles and I'm doing more work covering the Lakers and being here in LA, I still have this connection with the Sky and will continue covering the team as such. A lot of memories living there, going to school there, etc., etc. So that's not changing. But if you're seeing this and you're like, why isn't there Bulls stuff? It's because I'm not connected to the Bulls that way. I hope they do well, but I'm focused on this, and I'm still focused on the Sky, of course. So there you go. That's a little talk about my wardrobe. We'll keep it now to WNBA Chicago Sky free agency and all the moves, because they've been wheeling, they've been dealing. So let's talk about some of the smaller moves and kind of make our way through. The recent one that's come out is Camilla Smalls and Rebecca Gardner getting training camp contracts. So that means they have contracts for training camp, which is officially from the Chicago Sky's Twitter account. They've been signed to training camp contracts, which means they'll be there at training camp attending and competing and part of the team, and we'll see if they actually make the roster when the roster has to be finalized. Other move the Chicago Sky did is they signed Crystal Bradford to a contract, so she's now a part of the team, and they also signed Kaiser Garnzik to a contract as well, along with Crystal Bradford. Now the Sky just didn't have additions. Obviously the team was already a pretty stacked roster. They had some departures. Stephanie Dolson officially joined the New York Liberty in a 3-team trade involving the Sky, the Mercury, and the Fever. Moved a lot of things and added Julie Alamon to the Sky, and Diamond DeShields is now with Mercury, and the Fever got like a bunch of picks and I think some compensation as well. So those were kind of the moves that happened there. And Kahleah Copper also signed a 2-year contract with the Sky, which is obviously a huge thing because the Sky need KFC on the roster. Also, it's still developing, but it's pretty much already confirmed that Courtney Vandersloot will come back to the Sky. Haven't got confirmation on Allie Quigley, but that's also likely to happen. But again, those two are really not as official. The team hasn't really spoken about it at the time of this recording, but it might be in a minute now. So maybe when you hear this, it'll be a little too late. But that's where it is, where I'm kind of sitting at. So we'll kind of keep that up. You can kind of put them in, but pencil them in. Don't put it in ink because they haven't put it to ink either. All right, so given all that, let's take a look at the roster. What does the roster look like right now? You have Candace Parker, Azurá Stevens, Ruthie Hebard, Dana Evans, Crystal Bradford, Julie Alamon, Rebecca Gardner, Kaiser Garnzik, and then if you want to put Courtney Vandersloot there at the 9, you got 9 guaranteed there. That's what I count. Let's see. Hopefully my math's good there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 9. Then you have 2 players on training camp deals, and you're still waiting to hear about Allie Quigley, which she could be the 10th. That gives you 2 more spots left. So there won't be too many spots. You got the 2 training camp people. Maybe you can just keep the roster as you have it now and then add Quigley and maybe see what happens in the draft. But that's around where the team is. So it's really starting to shape up. It's really looking interesting. Obviously, there have been some additions. There have been some subtractions. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it. You have Parker. You have Vandersloot. You're going to have KFC out there. Actually, sorry, I didn't mention that. Kahleah Copper. She's another player, too. I mentioned her, but I didn't mention her during that breakdown I just did. So, yeah, in case you're screaming in your car, whatever, what about Kahleah Copper? Yeah, I added her in the previous part, but not in the roster. So, actually, that makes it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 players. Vandersloot would be 11th. That would only give the Sky really 1 more roster spot. So again, this is a moving thing. It's all not as solid as even we might think until things kind of get official and papers get signed. But it's looking like the Sky roster for the most part is just about solidified. Just a couple more questions, and big questions, but questions nonetheless. So really looking forward to seeing how this team plays. I think overall Wade did a good job so far on keeping the core of the team. If you're still going to have KFC and Vandersloot and Parker Stevens. That's a lot of the players that played huge roles on the Sky to win the championship. So I feel like you're in a good spot. You're in a pretty good spot right now, seeing how things are going. But, we'll see what happens with those final couple spots and what the Sky can do. I think overall they're putting themselves in a really good position to defend their title. And with this maybe being the last year of Candace Parker, you really do have to do that. So I think overall I'm happy with it. I can't wait. I just can't wait to do some deep dives on some of these new players and try to theorize what the depth chart's going to look like, what the team's going to look like. I'm hoping Stevens stays strong. I'm hoping Ruthie Hebert gets a little bit more run. I've been enjoying the early parts of her year last year, and she's always balling out in overseas play. So I'm hoping she gets a little bit more run. Dana Evans is always working hard. I'm a big fan of her play as well. So overall, I'm really liking how this team is shaping. We just got to get that confirmation on Vandersloot. We got to get that confirmation on Quigley. And then, we will really have a really good idea. But, you can't complain too much. You just won a championship. You brought back a lot of those core pieces. And, again, part of a championship is saying goodbye to some pieces you really love, like Dolson and DeShields. They want different roles. They have every contractual right to go look for something else. And I wish them well, except for the times where they play the Sky. Hopefully the Sky do well. And hopefully they do well too, but the Sky still easily win the game. But in general, of course, nothing but good wishes for those team players. They were great and part of a championship team and played big roles. Dolson was huge in the final run, including in the final game, and DeShields was always an explosive player that could, at any point, be the best player on the court. She has that kind of ability, just so much up and down, really. But hopefully, she's set up to do well in Phoenix, and I hope she gets everything she wants out of it. That's the most important thing. All right, so we're getting closer. We're getting closer to WNBA basketball. There's a couple hurdles left. Next up, we have the WNBA draft, which is scheduled to be held on April 11th, as reported by Christina Williams. She's been doing a great job, covering the WNBA and breaking news. It's been fantastic just seeing her take that next step in the past year. It's been awesome. Definitely follow her on Twitter, besides following me on Sky and the Shy, of course. Make sure you're following her because she really is right there on the pulse. But April 11th is when the WNBA draft is going to be held, and a week later, we have training camp, and then we're going to really get going. April 17th, training camp starts. So we have that starting there, and then preseason games begin April 22nd, and then finally we have the WNBA season starting on May 6th. There you go. That's a nice little kind of pathway. I know there's some years where I'm just dying for the WNBA to come back, and this time feels so long. So hopefully now that you see kind of the pathway to things, it feels a little less, distant. We got stuff happening in April, kicking off training camp, and then of course in May we'll kick off. So I'm really excited about this season. I'm excited to go back to week podcasts and articles and Zoom calls and Twitter Spaces and all that kind of stuff. So I've been trying to get as much rest as I can, but I'm ready, just like I was last year, to pedal to the metal once we kick things off in April. So I'm super excited. I can't wait. Banner night's going to be amazing. Ring ceremonies, all those kinds of things for the Sky are going to be so fun to watch. And then, the Pursuit for Two, the back-to-back, the Candace Parker perhaps farewell tour, we'll see. All those things are going to be really interesting, and seeing if the team can repeat and if the improvements they made can kind of keep them in that competitive spirit. Remember, last year, the regular season was very mediocre, so it won't take too much to have a better regular season. Obviously, the postseason was where they were incredible, so we'll see what happens there. But I, for one, am really excited, and hopefully now we got the team more solidified. We see the path towards the end of the off season and going into the actual season. So I'm really excited. I'll continue being here covering things. Make sure you're following me on Sky the Shy, and I just can't wait till we can see the WNBA back. We're almost there, and the roster is starting to get solidified. We're on our way, and so far, to me, things are pretty good. Leave a comment below if you're on YouTube on what you think about the roster construction so far, what you want with the final couple spots that are left. I think most people are going to want Quigley, but I think there's still another spot that can go there to a rookie or one of the training camp participants. So let me know in the comments below. Make sure you're liking and subscribe. And if you're listening on any podcast platforms, make sure you are subscribe there, and you're giving reviews if you're on Spotify. I really appreciate it, and I'm so excited this year. I have a lot of ideas for this podcast to make it even better. Had a great first year of the podcast. I don't want to spoil all the secrets, because one, I also don't want to be held accountable in case I don't do that. So, so I'm gonna keep them in my pocket. But I have some ideas for once the season officially starts to change things up and make this pod even better. It'll definitely be better because it'll be the second year. So I'm really pumped about that, and I can't wait for Chicago Sky basketball to return. We don't have too much longer to wait. So, with that being said, I'm Ruben Garcia. This is the Sky in the Shy podcast, and I'm out.